Welcome to In Her Voice. My name is Kelly Covert, and I am passionate about helping women live authentically by listening to their inner voice. Get ready to be inspired by women of all walks of life that have set aside their should-bes and not good enoughs and are standing in their true voice, the voice of wisdom that each and every one of us has inside. Hello, you guys. Welcome to In Her Voice podcast. My name is Kelly Covert, and I am so excited that you decided to join me today, that you decided to press play means so much to me, and I just want to say thank you. Today I have a really special episode for you, and it is all about why your words matter. That's right. Your words matter, every single one of them, the ones that you think, the ones that you say, the ones that you think you want to say but don't say, they all make a difference. And I'll tell you a quick story of how I started getting into this place where I really wanted to dig into this idea. And that is on one of my Inner Circle group calls. The Inner Circle, as you guys know, is my group membership program. And we were having a group call the other night, and one of the women in the group was commenting that journaling for her is a hard practice. And I said, what if you made a list? I said, do you make lists? She was like, oh my gosh, I make lists all the time. That's easy. And I said, okay, we'll call it that then. And then I started getting into this place of thinking of like, okay, wow. So if just shifting a word can change the way we feel about something, I wonder if words affect us in other ways. And so I got totally geeked out on this, you guys. And I did a little bit of research, and I Googled how words affect us physically, because I thought, I bet some really super smart sciencey people have done studies on this. And guess what? Sure enough, they have. And it was amazing to me. And I go into this place, you guys know that I'm super spiritual. I believe in, things happening magically and divinely. And I also believe in science. And I think sometimes if we can back up some of our more woo-woo beliefs with a little bit of science, that is just going to be even more impactful for us. And so I thought I would give you guys a little bit of science today. And don't worry, that's not all I will be giving you, but I'm just going to give you some quick facts on how powerful our words are. The coolest thing that I found out in this research is that words actually cause physical reactions that can be measured in our body. So negative words like no release dozens of stress-producing hormones and neurotransmitters. And in the tests that they did this, a person was in an MRI, and they just flashed the word no for them to read for 1 second. And their body was flooded with these stress-producing hormones. How crazy is that? Just reading the word no for 1 second can do that. And to further that, the more you sort of ruminate on negative words or negative thoughts, the more you can actually damage, like literally injure, key structures in your brain that regulate memory, feelings, and emotions. You can hurt yourself. Literally hurt yourself by saying negative things, by reading negative things, by thinking negative things. Negative words can disrupt sleep, appetite, your ability to experience long-term happiness and satisfaction. And I think that comes as no surprise, right? Like we have all had this experience where we have an argument with someone that we love, and maybe they say something negative or we say something negative, and then you can't sleep, right? But this is, really proving that the reason that we can't sleep is because of all of the hormones that have flooded our body and the way that our mind keeps looping over this same thought over and over again. Parts of your brain will react to negative fantasies as though they were actually happening. And so when I first read that term negative fantasy, I was like, what's that? And what a negative fantasy is anytime that you imagine something negative happening to you, like getting an illness or being destitute, being, going into poverty, or imagining yourself or someone you love as dying. So when you imagine those things, your brain, parts of your brain, perceive them as though they've actually happened. And it's no wonder if we say things like, oh, I think I'm getting sick, then boom, we get sick, right? Our brain is reacting all of the time to what we are saying. And what was super interesting to me about all of these facts is like how dramatic the effect of a negative word or thought had on our bodies and on our systems. Like it seemed like, wow, just like 1 second of looking at no can send all these rushing stress producing hormones through my body. That seems pretty dramatic. So I wondered, would positive words have that same effect? And the answer is actually no. For some reason, and actually scientists believe that it's because of the way that our brain has evolved, positive words have hardly any effect in that way as negative words. And they premise that that's probably because negative words are also words that tend to keep us safe. But you have to remember, you guys, we're not walking out of our front door of our cave now and expecting to get attacked by a lion. We're living in a different time. And even though our brains send us these signals that we're not safe, we have to remember that we are, and that, we don't have to protect ourselves all of the time in that sense. But one of the big takeaways for me in doing this research was that scientists who studied these negative effects of negative words versus positive effects of positive words said that because the brain does not react equally to positive and negative, we need about 5 positive messages to counteract the effects of every single negative utterance, is what they called it. So anytime we say the word no, or have a negative thought, or even shake our head, we need 5 positive messages that we're pushing through our brain to counteract the effect of that. 5 to 1. That's a big ratio, right? And it really made me think, in my life, am I 5 times more positive than I'm negative? Actually, I don't think so. Like, I'm a pretty positive person, but I don't think I'm that positive. And the funny thing is it said they don't even have to be true positive things. It could be like nonsensical positive things, and that actually still will make a difference. So even if you can't think of anything that's true, that's okay. Just think of something positive, and that makes a difference. But the big takeaway is that we must be repetitiously and consciously saying, thinking, doing positive things, positive words, positive thoughts. It has to be our practice. It has to be our practice. One of the facts that I loved so much, and this is, again, science, you guys, is the repetition of positive words like love, peace, and compassion will turn on specific genes in your body that lower stress. The more you say those words, the more you hear those words, it turns on genes that lower stress. I'll take some of that. If that's my prescription for stress, heck yeah. Let me talk more about love. Let me talk more about peace and compassion. So what does all of this science mean for us? Like I said, it means we have to have a conscious practice of saying positive things, of being in a positive place, and of replacing negative thoughts with at least 5 positive thoughts. All right. And, I'm not saying you need to keep track, like keep a little tally. Oh, I just had a negative thought. Now let me think 5 positive thoughts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm done. That's not what I mean. But it's really about sort of coming to this understanding that we can't go to our default system. Our brain is hardwired to go to the negative, and we have to make a conscious practice to go to the positive. And so with all of this talking about practicing, I wanted to share something that happens when I teach flute students. So as you know, practice is a big part of being a musician. And when I'm teaching my college age students, a lot of times what will happen is they'll be practicing and they'll come upon a certain bar or lick or measure that's really difficult, and they will make a mistake. And then the way that they practice that is they go back and they play it again, and maybe they make that mistake again. And then they go back and they play it 2 or 3 more times, and maybe each time they still continue to make that mistake. But then they finally play it one last time and they get it right. And they're like, awesome, yeah, now I can do it. And they move on. And I say to them, you just played that 6 times and you only played it right once. So if this were a test, how would you be doing on that test? And like a light bulb goes off in their head and they're like, well, I would have failed it. And I'm like, exactly. You are practicing whatever you do the most. So even though it feels like practicing, they're doing it wrong, right, and they feel like they did it enough to get it right, so that's enough. They actually need to continue to do it right enough times to balance out doing it wrong, because our body and our brain will remember the thing that we do the most. And what these scientists are saying is we need to do 5 times as much. So not just balancing it out equal, 5 times more. We need to be practicing that positive frame of mind, thinking, speaking, etc. So it just goes to show you that we really, really need to be having this daily conscious practice. Another thing that I loved is this idea that we're more likely to spur ourselves on to action if we use positive language. One of the studies showed that positive words propel the motivational centers of the brain into action to help build resilience. I loved that, right? Like, it's positivity that gets us to take action, not beating ourselves up. Not, a lot of times if we're in sort of this negative place, we'll be like, come on, Kelly, what's wrong with you? Get your act together. Pull it together. Don't be so lazy, or whatever is the language that you use. Actually, that is not going to be as motivational to your brain as saying something positive. And here's a really good example. This is one that I love. If I'm facing a problem, instead of thinking of it as a problem and thinking of it as something that, I want to avoid. I don't want to deal with that problem. It's stressful to me, or all of these things. Instead, I can say, ooh, I love a good challenge. And that's true. I do love a challenge. I love figuring things out, and I love taking those challenges to completion. And so just changing that perspective on my quote unquote problem, now it's a challenge. Now it's something exciting for me to figure out the solution for. Now it's something that my brain is going to want me to complete instead of to avoid. And we're talking about the same circumstance, right? All we're doing is we're shifting our language. But by shifting our language, we shift our brain's reaction and our body's reaction and our emotional reaction to that situation. It's so, so good. And then another way that we can really use words to our benefit is by talking about what you want as though it's already happened. So this can be talking about yourself. If there is something that you want to be, you don't need to say, I want to be right? You can say, I am. I'll give you a really good example. When I started this podcast, I decided that I wanted to be a world-class podcaster. Instead of saying, I want to be a world-class podcaster, I just started calling myself that. I am a world-class podcaster. And I would ask myself the question, okay, in this situation, what would a world-class podcaster do? And then that's what I would do, because I am a world-class podcaster. So it's sort of like the name, calling myself that, begets the action instead of the other way around. So it's not the action that creates the world-class podcaster. It's the world-class podcaster that does certain kinds of actions. So some of the things that come to mind for you guys is, I am a fantastic mom. Saying that to yourself at your lowest point of motherhood, which might happen on a daily or even hourly basis. I'm a fantastic mom. Remind yourself of that. I am a creative woman. I am a strong leader. I am a visionary. I am a world changer. And this is the thing, you guys. World changers change the world. You don't become a world changer by changing the world. You are a world changer. And I want you to start living that. I want you to start embodying that and taking actions, because this is the kind of conversation that I want to be having with you. I want to talk about how you are already a world changer. You already have everything that you need to complete your vision, to fulfill your purpose, to be out there living in this world exactly like who you are and who you were meant to be in this world. That's exciting, you guys. That is what words can do for you. So I want you to try on some of these I ams. Try them on. And it might feel a little awkward at first. It may feel like a dress that's too big for you. That's okay, because you will grow into that. You will grow into that title or that name that you're giving yourself. So think as though, speak as though what you want has already happened. What you want to be, you are already that. What has happened? It has already happened. So you could even, this is another little trick that I do. You can set reminders on your phone that say things like, how does it feel to be a world-class podcaster? And when I read that question and it pops up on my phone, I think to myself, how does it feel? It feels really good. You apply this to goals that you have too. How does it feel to have 100 people in the inner circle? That's something that I write to myself. That's something that pops up on my phone to remind me, you know what? It feels really, really good. It's exciting to me, and it gets those positive feelings flowing and all the positive responses in my brain and in my body and in my heart and in my soul. So use this to your advantage, you guys. Words matter. Your words matter. So you notice tonight I talked a lot about the inner circle, and that is because I am excited to tell you that the doors are opening to the inner circle on Monday, December 4th. 2017. They are only open a few times a year, and I am super excited to welcome new visionaries into my group coaching program. So what you get with the Inner Circle, it's a monthly membership fee. You get access to the Inner Circle community. You get access to 2 group coaching calls a month, and then 1 Inner Circle session, I call it, where we talk about things like this, where I teach on topics that are relevant to everyone that is in the Inner Circle in that moment. And then also you receive from me a weekly Inner Circle love note with ideas for journaling prompts or practices or just questions to dwell on. It just keeps you in that place of understanding what you want to do in this world. I want you to bring your big vision. I want you to bring your goals. And then I want to support you in helping you put them into action. Take that action. Stand in the confidence and the courage that you, yes, you are a world changer. So if this sounds exciting to you, please go check it out. The URL is kellycovert.com/inner circle. And you can click on the link right in your show notes of your podcast app that you're using, or you can go right to that URL. And again, that's kellycovert.com/inner circle. And the doors will only be open for a couple of weeks. So they open December 4th and they close, I believe, on the 19th. So make sure you get in and become a part of my inner circle so you can really start to take your vision into a place of reality. And I can't wait to meet you in there. So you guys, as always, I want to remind you, you matter. You were put here on this earth for a reason. You have a purpose. You have passion. And I want you to stand in that and know that each and every day you are worthy of creating that vision, of bringing that vision into reality. You are worthy.